Portland, but I've never lived there, but I go there all the time. It's about a 45-minute drive from where I live. I live in Forest Grove currently, but I went to the Migrant Head Start Center in Cornelius, which is that specific center is actually shut down now, even though it's next to an Episcopalian church, I believe. And it was, I still remember it very clearly. I remember, I remember about 1 year that they brought in these cool new tricycles that were like metal and, they were painted and stuff. I remember those really well because I remember all the kids would fight to get to them, especially on the playground. I remember also one of the songs that they, well, not completely, it was to like brush your hair and impones un muñeco con peine de marfil. So yeah, so
Did you learn those too? No.
I know the song.
yeah, she knows the song. She knows the song better than I do. But yeah, and so I remember all of that very vividly. I remember also going back because my mom ended up working for Oregon Child Development Coalition. So so she was working there. She recently quit, but and so that was kind of a devastating thing. But yeah, I remember my parents migrating when I was a child from around where Wenatchee in Washington down to Oregon, down to Cornelius specifically, to the different camps because this one owner, the owner of Gonzalez Farms, she actually has various camps, and they're all, have like certain name, like blue camp, white, and we were stationed at like white camp, so that's where I lived for a very long time, and that was actually right across the street from the Head Start, so that was always a lot easier. I also remember how tough it was when I was younger. I remember, I think one of the more heartbreaking moments when I was like a little kid was when I wanted a caramel apple, but my parents couldn't buy it for me because otherwise they wouldn't be able to buy tortillas, or they wouldn't be able to buy this or that. And so we were barely making ends meet, and my dad, we were actually going into debt, and so that was a very tough time. But I remember one time my mom, counted everything, penny by penny by penny, so that she could buy me like a 56-cent caramel apple. And that was a very, that was a tough moment, and as a kid I didn't comprehend it as much. It was as I grew up, the more and more that started to have meaning for me. So, it was very difficult. So my mom ended up working for, Oregon Child Development Coalition. She worked there for, I want to say, 16 years, so she worked there for a very, very long time. Whether it was, she worked, I believe, first as a teacher assistant, then bus driver, then a teacher, and then she was a manager, and then she switched over to supervisor, and then she was our CS supervisor. So she's spent a lot of time.
That's a start.
Yeah. And so so I've always been, I've always tried to get involved with that. I always hear my mom talking about all the different things that have been going on through Head Start, especially throughout the years. So, I have to thank all of you because you guys played a key role not only, for me, but as well for my mom, because I know she ended up getting a scholarship in order to go back to school, because she received her her associates first, and then she got her bachelor's like a few years ago, and that was a big moment for all of us.
Big moment,
Yeah, and so that makes me the second person in my family, including extended family, to go to university. So, that was a big thing, and she has always been a big motivation for me. I worked in the fields for about 2 weeks when I was 16. I still remember that. My mom, I remember the exact words my mom told me. She told me, fregarle mijito, because I wanted to go out and work. I wanted to go out and do that because at the time I didn't really understand how tough it was to be a farm worker. And I remember those 2 weeks as the 2 hardest weeks of my life. They really were. I remember I got home really late. I'd have to get up at 4 in the morning in order to go out and over there. My dad would drive me before he went to work. and it was really tough. It was very, very, very tough, and so that all the while more made me cherish exactly everything, everything that my parents have already done for me, and what they continue to do. So that was a really good experience, and I think that was when I learned the value of money. And I also.
What you're studying now and what's your plans?
Okay, so I'm studying to become a neurosurgeon, so I'm studying at Portland State University, and I'm dual enrolled at Portland Community College, and so I hopefully plan to one day be a neurosurgeon, and and I also plan to come back here to DC as well, because this is an amazing place. You make a lot of connections, and you meet a lot of people who are really passionate about all the issues that are going on, not only with farm workers but around the world. And I think that's something that's always motivating, to have like all these different people come together in one giant city, in one giant area, that are all fighting for a better world.